Good morning. I'm Greg, a sailor, a bagpiper, and sort of jack of all trades, back in the shop. Yesterday I put the first finish coat on the cockpit locker doors and the saloon hatch. It's really humid and sticky, so the paint's not, I don't think it's quite set up enough that I can sand it and put another coat down, although it's close. So I want to give it a little more time. And the grab rails are also just a little bit soft, so I want to give them a little more time. After talking to Jamestown distributors and the vendors of Total Boat, they recommended, which I may have mentioned before, they recommended that I bed the tow rails, stanchions, everything onto the deck with, prior to putting on the non-skid. They wanted bedded down to a nice, soft, flat, smooth surface. Here is one of the cleats, and you can see this is the port aft cleat. The backing plate that Bristol had used was just a piece of fiberglass that must have been, one of the cutouts from the deck or the cabin top. When they were cutting out for windows and hatches and everything else, they used that as a backing plate. Well, you can see that this one has cracked and broken, so it wasn't secure enough. That's basically the backing plates that they used for just about everything. Now this one is the backing plate for the two main cleats up on the foredeck, and this is a piece of aluminum, and nice and strong and solid. I'm going to reuse that. I'm going to remake these. I do have all of this stainless, and it's thick and it's strong. I also have a piece of aluminum tucked way over in here. So the question is, what do I use? Now, the stanchion bases are stainless steel and the screws are stainless steel, so it would make sense to use the stainless steel as the backing plate, and then you wouldn't have any dissimilar metals and wouldn't have to worry about electrolysis. The downside is stainless is strong and not easy to cut and or drill. So I am going to lay out a bunch of these. These are the backing plates for the bow pulpit and stern rails. Again, this is the backing plate for the cleats. I'm going to go out on the boat and grab some of the backing plates that were used for the stanchion bases, and then I'm going to lay them all out and get my grinder and see how much trouble it's going to take to cut the stainless. If I can cut the stainless without too much difficulty, I'll use that. If it's a royal pain in the neck, I may end up going to the aluminum. Like I said, this one was aluminum, and well, the cleats are, I believe, aluminum. Everything else is stainless. So we'll see. I'll be back. So here are a couple of the stanchion backing plates. They're all the exact same size, so I don't have to worry about that. So that. Let me take this one apart. Okay. Well, I know I have 6 stanchion bases. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That takes care of those. For these, I have 2 on the port side, 2 on the starboard side, So that's 4, and 4 more for the bow pulpit. So that's 8 in total of these that I need. And I think I can make them square. I don't have to make them round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, this one is not going to fit. This board is too thin to do that. So I may have to make these 2 out of aluminum, because the piece of aluminum I have is definitely big enough to do that. All right, now the fun part is to see how hard this is going to be to cut. So I have a grinder and cutoff discs. Actually, you know what? Let's pop the battery off. Might as well start this project with a brand new cutting disc, and that'll really give me an idea on how difficult it is going to be. And I am not going to do this down here in the shop because I don't want to get metal filings all over everything that I have been painting and varnishing. So let's go outside and see what happens. Well, that wasn't too outrageously horrible. This clamp definitely was not strong enough. So I think I need to go down and grab another clamp. And my camera keeps shutting off. Plenty of battery, plenty of everything. Keeps powering off, and it's so darn quick to power off, it doesn't tell me what the problem is. Let's see what we can do to clean this up a little bit and cut the next one off. Well, there's a little life left in this disc, so I figured I'll use this one up. But no life left in this battery. So the drill press is showing you on here spindle speeds. You can change the speed. So we are drilling into stainless steel and tool steel. I am drilling a screw size that's about 19/64, which is down here in this range. So we want it to be going 380 to 480, very slow speed, which is this bigger spindle here and the smallest spindle on the motor, which is, we're close to where we are. Let's just slow it down a little bit more. Go to the slow spindle, larger spindle. That's the speed we want to be for drilling. Now we need to get a little oil. We don't have any cutting oil, but 3-in-1 lubricating oil is good enough. Let's see, will that get me down? Yes, it will. So now, that's what we want to do. Now the question is, how do I clamp that down? Because I definitely want to clamp it down. And I don't have the clamps that go in through here. Now what I can do is rotate the table so that I would be drilling just past the edge of the table. And then clamp down there. It's not optimal because the bottom side of the table is not perfectly flat. Ow! A little piece of hot metal came off of this and landed in my shoe. That didn't feel very good. And so this hole is, if the fasteners for all of these things are 1/4 inch, I'm drilling a slightly larger hole, which will allow any slight errors in alignment with these 3 holes. One down, a whole lot more to go. So now, let's do a test. Here is one of the stern rails. Not perfect. Not perfect by a long shot. Interesting. The holes don't seem to be equidistant. That's significantly better. Wow. I can't believe that the positioning of the holes is that important. Let's try something different this time around. I take a nice sharp pencil and let's try that. Wow, not even close to the holes on this, which leads me to believe that these all may be very different. And that would really suck. That one's good. All right, so now 3 screws, 3 bolts rather. Okay, that fits perfectly. Let's try rotating it. All right, still fits perfectly. Still fits perfectly. All right, so they are all equidistant. Let's try the other end. Perfect. So I just screwed up on that first one. Good thing I've got extra stainless. Yep, they all fit very nicely. So I can use this as a template for all the others. Well, this battery is almost gone too. All right, so I just cleaned up that stern rail and filed down all the rough edges on these 2. Got 6 bolts. I'll get 6 nuts and I'll get a new battery and we'll go out and see if we can install this piece of stern rail. Well, I think we'll dry fit everything before we put any caulking on. I think that probably makes the most sense. So here is this rail. Now that I have my new kneeling pad, I might as well at least use it. All right, that's odd. I know I grabbed 6 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nuts. 3, 4, 5. Huh. I'm missing a nut and a bolt. All right, that's weird. And holy mackerel, that's not going to be a fun place to get to. I think I have to take my remote microphone off. I also think I'm at the point where I need to get additional help, because there's no way I'm going to be able to put the nuts and washers underneath there and still hold the screw up on deck. That's going to be a trick and a half. But it'll work. So Betsy's brother Rick is here from Arizona, and I've put him to work helping me. We are getting ready to bolt these stern stanchions down, and we need to caulk around them. So lots of little pieces of masking tape to hopefully make it look like a circle. All right, that one looks pretty good. Now move back to the next one. Yeah, we want a little bit of a space.
Oh, like I'm not leaving a space. Should I take them out? I've just gone right to the middle.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Maybe we could take a razor knife and just cut a teeny bit of a circle, because the you want the caulking to squeeze out a little bit. Okay. Well, a couple of steps forward, a couple of steps backwards. Rick and I got the aft pulpits bedded, fastened, new backing plates underneath them, all strapped, all bolted down. They are rock solid. It's awesome. I got the starboard tow rail up on deck. It's been sitting for a while, so some of the spring has come out of it. So you can see the blocking here to hold it out in position, and this block here, I've had to tie the aft in a little bit. I may tighten that up right now and pull that in a little bit more to just add the spring to it. And then we were trying to lift the port tow rail up, and right at that scarf joint, Rick was holding to this side of the scarf joint, put too much weight on the weak material, and it snapped off. So that's all epoxied back together again. Maybe later on this afternoon, the epoxy will have cured. With Rick back here, we can get that back up on deck, and I can be springing that out, because I need to get it sprung back to the curve that it needs to be in, so we can turn it over, put the caulking on it, and then get it back down into place without having to, you know, if we go through this gyration with the bottom all coated in caulking, it's just going to be a huge mess. So one of the things I'm going to do right now, when it's in place, is put a couple of screws into its various holes. Probably every third hole we'll put a screw in, and that'll get it in its proper positioning, and then I can mask the deck, mask the outside edge, mask the inside edge of the deck, and then we'll put masking tape on the tow rail itself. Then when we put the bedding compound on it and squish it down into place, at least, you know, the masking tape, like we did here, will, protect the decks and make it easier to peel it off. Now that this caulking has set up a little bit, we can peel the masking tape off. Let's see how poorly or how well that's going to work out. And that looks pretty darn good. I am definitely going to need to buy a lot more caulking. Yep, I like it. That looks good. And on this side, unfortunately, some of the plate shifted a little bit. And that got that up. Okay, let's take this up a little bit more. Bring that piece of toe rail in. So that's in position here, which has helped pull this into position. So I think everything looks pretty good. That board's not necessary. This one is still, that needs to come in, and that's no problem. Cool. All right, I'm going to grab a screw gun and some screws and see if we can't put a few pieces into this deck. I'll be right back. All right, now I think I've got enough various pieces of scrap wood up here that I can make this work. All right, that worked. All right, we did one there. Probably want to do one here. Gotta bring it in a little more. Got more earwigs on this boat than I know what to do with. Put one there, put one here. Okay, and then we'll put this piece in place just to see what it looks like. And it all looks pretty darn good. Alrighty, so that goes there. I think this stanchion base goes in and it's got a support that goes right there. So that's what those holes are. That stanchion base goes there. Well, it's looking pretty darn good. Beginning to look like a sailboat again and not just a wreck in process. Almost making me feel like I might be getting in the water sometime this summer. Minor setback there, but we'll be good to go. Still have a few leftover parts here that I see one of these broke off. I'll have to see if I can get a replacement for that. And then I'll have to bring the Dodger out and set it in place to figure out exactly where some of those last hooks go. Once the toe rails have held their shape, I can take the toe rail off, flip it over so that it matches the curve on the wrong side of the boat, put all the caulking compound on it, roll it back over, set it in place, and bolt it down. We'll do the starboard side, and then same thing, flip the port side over to starboard, put the caulking in, flip it back. So I'm going to have to mask all along the inside edge, mask along the outside edge, and then mask the bottom of the woodwork on both sides, on the toe rail itself, and then put the caulking compound on, get it in place, and that's going to be a 2 or 3 man project. And it's probably going to take the better part of half a day at least. So better make sure I have my crew lined up for that, because once we start putting the fastenings in from the top, I'm going to have to be down below with a ratchet and lots of washers and nuts to bolt everything down. Stanchion bases, those will be pretty quick and easy to do. Yep, definitely making progress. So today has been one heck of a day. We've made great progress on the boat. I think, pretty sure we've made great progress. All the backing plates have been fabricated. I have installed the stern pulpit, stern rails with the new backing plates under them, caulking and everything else, and that looks great. The starboard tow rail, wooden tow rail, is up on the boat. It is, as I'd mentioned, it has lost its spring. I think when they manufactured it, it was straighter and they bent it onto the boat. And since it's been off the boat for almost a year, it's lost some of that spring. So that's why I've had to bow it back into shape. And I have put fasteners in almost every single hole in that tow rail to really hold it into place. And hopefully over the next few days, it will retain its shape so that when we take it off, it won't spring back completely into one straight board. We'll be able to tape it, caulk it, install it, and still maintain some of that curve to it. So we won't be fighting it while it's all covered with caulking. But anyway, that's for the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Please hit the like button if you've enjoyed the content, and don't forget to subscribe so you get notifications when new videos are coming up. Thank you very much for following SV Slow Air.